Welcome to Anchor Moment Minutes. Today, I have a good friend with me. His name is Sam Reyes, and he is the director of Catholic Media Ministry. Welcome, Sam.
Hi, Gina. How are you?
I'm great. It's so
Awesome.
exciting to have a fellow Catholic on my show. That's so
Yeah,
awesome.
glad to be here.
Sam, one of my main things I love to do on my Anchor Moment show is to ask people to tell about that first time that they truly felt God's loving presence in their life, and they know, wow, God truly loves me and knows me. And I call those moments anchor moments because it anchors their faith. Can you tell us about that first moment that you felt God's loving presence?
So that's a little difficult for me. I think it's difficult because growing up, I always knew that God was around.
Uh-huh.
I always did. I never really had a doubt. I can't think of a time when I didn't know that God didn't exist. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So that's the thing. Now, in terms of my faith, when I was smaller,
Mm-hmm.
it was going to church. My mom and dad would bring me to church. They'd bring all of us. I have two brothers and three sisters, so they bring us all to church. And I remember growing up, and then I liked music, and I started singing in the choirs. And then when I was in high school, I started doing a little bit more with the music. And then, right after high school, a lot of things were happening. And it's that time when, you're still trying to discover who you are and trying to grow up and things. And so different things were there. But I know that when I was 18, I really wanted to know God in a deeper way. And so I started really searching for God. Okay, God, I really want to know the truth. And I was really looking for the truth. I want to know what the truth is. I didn't want to know, okay, well, this is what somebody says. I wanted to know, okay, what is the truth about God? Who is God really? Who is God? And I didn't really think about it in terms of what's my relationship with God. I just wanted to know who God was. Kind of like if you want to meet somebody, like maybe you want to meet the president or you want to meet some business leader or something. It's like, I really want to know who you are. And I really
Yeah.
wanted to know who God is. So when I was 18, I started looking in earnest for who is God.
Right.
And my search would kind of take me to places, and I didn't really find what I was looking for. Not really. I kept not finding what I was looking for. And back then there was a song that was a country song that was really popular. It was called "Looking for Love in All the Wrong Places."
Oh, I know
And
that one. Yes.
and I used to think I'm looking for God in all the wrong places because no matter where I looked, I didn't find what I was looking for. And I tried a lot of things. I went with the people that were like the people, the prayer people. They would sit down and they would pray the rosary and they would pray all of these prayers and so I tried that out. I'm like, that's not it. And I wore all of these medals and these scapulars for a while because everybody said you were supposed to do that and you would find God, and I didn't. And I remember I went with a guy who was at my church, and we went knocking on doors, and serving. It's like, okay, we're going to go show people who God is. But I didn't know who God was myself.
Right.
And I kept looking and looking, and life happened and this and that happened. So when I was in the Catholic Church, we get confirmed. I know in the other like Protestant denominations, their adult commitment is to get baptized, but we get baptized when we're babies, a lot of us. So confirmation is it. Well, in the diocese here, we would get normally confirmed in high school, but when I was in high school, we didn't have confirmation. We didn't have a program, so I didn't get confirmed. And so when I was 21, 22, confirmation was coming around again, and I said, I'm going to get confirmed. And so I went through and I thought, now I'm really going to learn. I'm really going to learn about who God is.
Yeah.
And that's going to be really exciting for me. And so I talked to the person who was in charge of religious education, adult religious education. And he said, oh, you're really doing a lot at the church, and you're really active, and you're really everything. And he said, oh, you don't have to worry about any classes because you already know everything. You're fine. And I was like, oh, and I was really disappointed because I thought I was going to go to some classes and I was going to really learn who God is. And I had to have a sponsor. So I thought, well, maybe my sponsor is going to help me. And my sponsor couldn't tell me. And so again, I'm still looking for love in all the wrong places. So then the day came and I got confirmed. And I thought, wow, this is the infusion of the Holy Spirit. It's going to be what I'm looking for. I'm going to know the truth. I'm going to know who God is. And I dressed up really nice and I went to church and I got confirmed and nothing happened. Nothing that I knew happened. I didn't feel any different. I really didn't feel much of anything. And so I was really disappointed because I thought that something major was going to happen. And it didn't. And so I kept just going on with life, you know. And as I got a little bit older, I started looking more and more in earnest, and I started going to church every day. I started going to Mass every day, and I was praying every day. And I would, at our church, we had a Mass at 6:30, and then we had a Mass at 8:30. And what I started doing is, because I didn't have to go to work until a little bit later, so I started going to Mass at 6:30, which I really loved, and then I would stay and pray until the 8:30 Mass would start. So I would go to Mass, and I would stay and pray just in the church for about an hour afterwards. And it was really nice, and I started feeling something inside. And I started kind of feeling this tingly feeling inside. It was kind of interesting. And I would take communion, and I would feel this really warm, kind of tingly feeling. And then I would lay my head down on the pew, and I would go into prayer after Mass, and I would just kind of have this really tingly feeling. And then I would kind of like go into a meditation. And it was really, really nice. And I didn't even know what I was doing. It happened, and it happened more and more and more. And I, at that time, we were at a church where a lot of young people liked to fast and liked to give up things. So every Friday we fasted, and then at different times we would fast, and during Easter we would fast. Well, I came up to this time, and this is when I was 24, and we were coming up into Easter. So we were in Lent, and I thought, I'm going to fast for Lent. I'm going to fast for 40 days like Jesus did. And I thought, I'm just going to do this. And so what I did is I started fasting, and all I did was drank water, and I didn't eat anything.
Wow, so it'd be like a true fast.
Oh, yeah.
Zero food.
That's how we used to do it. We would fast on Fridays, just water only. We would sometimes, like for the Triduum, the 3 days, like Good Friday, Holy Thursday, Good Friday, and then Holy Saturday, I would just fast. And so I was kind of in this fasting mode, and I thought, I'm going to fast. And so I started fasting, and I went about, I don't remember how far I went. I went maybe about, I don't know, maybe about 3 or 4 days. And then I was at work, and my boss came in, and I worked in a really small little place, and right across the street from us was a Pizza Hut. And he used to come in, and he would want to go eat at Pizza Hut. He's like, hey, let's go eat lunch. I'm like, because I couldn't, because I was fasting, right? So what I did is I thought, well, I can't really let anybody know that I'm fasting, so how am I going to deal with this? So what I did is when he was there, which he wasn't there every day of the week, but he was there maybe 3 or 4 days out of the week, I would go with him, and I would get a little salad, one of their little small salads, and I would eat about half of it. And that's all I ate. And so I went the whole 40 days. And I was...
Wow, with just water, and on work days, half a salad.
Yeah. Not every work day, but yeah, so I was fasting. And you would think that I would have lost a lot of weight, but I didn't. I didn't lose any weight at all.
Huh.
And I knew that God was sustaining me. I just knew that. And I wasn't really hungry. I didn't really miss the food. It was just what I was doing. So it came to Holy Thursday, and Holy Thursday for us, is a really big and important day. It's a huge day.
Yeah.
And it's a day that we have Mass at night, and then after Mass, in our tradition, the Catholic tradition, we remove the Eucharist from the church, and it goes to what's called an altar of repose, and then we're just present with Jesus in the Blessed Sacrament. And I was at a church, and it was really interesting, and I walked over to where this is after Mass, and I had to clean up because I was playing music, and I walked by where the Blessed Sacrament was, and somebody said, "Are you going to stay and pray?" And I said, "No, I have to leave." And I left, and I didn't stay, and I went into this huge, just crisis of faith.
Oh,
And it was really interesting because you would think that I would really be in great shape because I had fasted for 40 days.
yeah.
No, it was very bad. And I went into a really, really bad period at the time. And just a really, really bad period of time. And it was just a really period of trials and temptations. It was bad. And what had happened is that the church that I had kind of grown up at, I used to teach junior high kids. And I was really young myself, but we taught junior high.
Mm-hmm.
And two of the girls came up to me, and this is in Easter season, and they said, "We're going to have our 8th grade retreat, and you have to go on our 8th grade retreat. You just have to go." And I said, "Okay, well, I'll find out if I can go."
Mm-hmm.
And so I went and I talked to the lady that was in charge, and her name is Pat Kruska.
I love her. Yeah.
She said, "Sure, you can go." And I said, "Well, if you want me to come and play music at any other retreats, then just let me know, because I'd love to help out." And she looked right at me. She said, "I want you to go on the confirmation retreat." I said, "Oh, okay." And I figured I would go and help and, everything. And so the confirmation retreat was in May, and I think the 8th grade retreat was in June or something like that. I don't remember. But this was back, I was 24. And so everything was kind of a mess in my life. And I thought, I've just got to get my life together. I've got to get it together because I'm going to go on this retreat. And I need to be okay when I go on the retreat because I'm supposed to be part of this retreat team, right? And so I
And you're going when you've been having a crisis of faith.
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
So I had this 40-day fast that I had been on. I was going to Mass every morning and everything and fasting. And then after that, I stopped going to Mass during the week. I still went on Sundays, obviously, but not during the week. So I thought, I've got to get back to Mass. I've got to get back to some kind of a prayer life. And so for about 2 or 3 weeks before this retreat, I started getting it together. I started going to daily Mass. I was getting ready and everything. And the retreat was a charismatic retreat, and I didn't know that. And I didn't even know really what that was. And it was really interesting because that tingly feeling that I had been having, it was getting more and more and more. And it was getting to the point where it was kind of like lasting with me almost all day. When I would go to Mass and go to communion, and I would just have this tingly feeling. Well, on the retreat, I remember we went up on a Friday night, and it was up in the forest. It was beautiful. It was really nice up in Prescott. And on Saturday night, we had been through this retreat and all of these talks and all of this kind of stuff. And on Saturday night, they did something called being prayed over. And I thought, I'm going to do that. And never been prayed over before. And I thought, I'm going to do that. And I remember that I was so ready for something. And I didn't know what it was. I was just ready. I was 100% ready. And I remember there was another lady named Pat that was there, and Pat, so the two Pats, and I remember, I don't remember if I was standing up or I was sitting up, I don't remember, but I remember that I went there, and it was interesting because Pat Kruska, she said, "What do you want?" And I said, "I want wisdom and knowledge." And she said, "You want tongues, the gift of tongues." And I said, "No, I don't. I don't want the gift of tongues." And she said, "Yes, you do." And I said, "No, I don't." So we started arguing, of course. And if you know Pat Kruska, you know that that's really, really, really possible. So, so finally I said, so finally she said, "I'm not going to pray for you if you don't say you want the gift of tongues." I said, "Fine, I want the gift of tongues." She said, "Okay." And she was really happy. And so they have this like holy oil.
Okay.
And she had some holy oil, and I remember the other Pat kind of put it in my hands and made a sign of the cross. And Pat Kruska reached out and she went to touch my forehead. And so she touched my forehead with her thumb and she said something. And all I remember is that my whole body just slammed back. And it was unbelievable. And I didn't know what was happening. And it was just a really powerful, powerful, powerful experience of God and of the Holy Spirit. A super, super powerful experience. And what happened is that I was kind of like out of it, you know. I was totally out. I didn't know what was going on. And just things were happening, but I didn't know what was going on. And I was like, I was down for a long time. I don't know how long. It could be 15 minutes, a half hour, an hour. I have no idea. It was a long time though. And I know that I remembered hearing Pat say, "Leave him alone, he'll be fine." And so I guess other people were concerned because I was down for too long. And when I got up, I was really, really drained, totally drained. And I went to bed and I got up the next morning and I took a breath and I'm like, whoa, it was like really amazing. And I walked outside and I was like, whoa. And it was like my DNA was changed. Like every cell in my body was different. And the air smelled cleaner. The grass was greener. The trees were more beautiful. The sky was just beautiful blue like I'd never seen before. Everything was different. Everything was different. And I found what I was looking for. And what I found that I didn't know I was looking for, even though I wanted to know God, I wanted to know who God was. A lot of times we go to church, we say a lot of prayers, we do a lot of good things, but we don't have a personal relationship with God.
Right.
And we don't know what that means because we don't. So we know a lot about God, but we don't have a personal relationship with God. We're not friends with God. We're not in that intimate, close, wonderful relationship with God. And that experience that night gave me that close, personal, wonderful relationship. And up to that point, I always felt like I was a half of a person. I didn't feel like I was whole. And I thought for a long time that I needed to find the perfect person for me, you know, the perfect girlfriend and find a wife and I would be a whole person. And that wasn't true. But that night, I became a whole person. And no matter what's happened since then, and there have been ups and there have been downs, there's been great things, there's been really bad, horrible things that have happened in my life. But I've never, ever, ever since that day felt like I was a half a person. I've always known that I was a complete whole person. And I've always known that God is God and I'm Sam. And I've always known that we're together. Always. I've always known that since that day. And it's interesting because it was actually May 10th, 1985.
Wow,
So,
this is like the anniversary of that.
it just happened, yeah. So it was, what is that, 35 years ago for me?
Wow. So May
35
10th,
years ago.
did you say 1985?
1985.
Yeah, that'd be 35 years ago because
35
my
years
husband and I got married
Uh-huh.
in 1990 and it's
Yeah.
2020. So yeah, that's 35 years.
Yeah. So
Wow. That truly is an anchor moment. That's exactly, your story is the exact description
uh-huh.
of, of, of what an anchor moment is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it is that time that you've truly encountered God where
Yeah.
you know
Absolutely.
He is so real and He is so with you.
Uh-huh.
And it anchors your faith because
Yes.
there's going to be no more times that you'll ever believe that there's not a God because
Yeah, absolutely.
because you are anchored to Him.
Yes. 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 Absolutely. Amen.
Thanks for watching. Please click to subscribe and click the bell to be notified when we post new Anchor Moments videos.